we are actively feeding the neediest people on the planet. And that really is something that CHEP can be very proud of, and something that we will continue to do long past our 2025 targets. This is not about a target for us. This is about what the company is about. This is about what is in our DNA, and ensuring that food is not lost in the supply chain, that supply chains are as efficient as they can possibly be, is a key part of that for CHEP.
Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the #1 voice of supply chain. Join us as we share critical news, key insights, and real supply chain leadership from across the globe, one conversation at a time.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton and special co-host Claire Fincham here with you on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Hey, Claire, how you doing today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, because it's my birthday, and I'm delighted to be spending a part of my birthday with you on this amazing platform.
Well, happy 31st, #1. And
thank
number
you, my
two,
darling.
Number two, thank you for sharing a portion of your special day with us here today. So great to reconnect with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person in June. More on that in just a second. But really, from the whole team here, Claire, happy birthday to you. On today's episode, folks, we're continuing our Supply Chain Leadership Across Africa series, which has been one really important component of our mission for years now here at Supply Chain Now. We've had some of the most incredible conversations as part of this series, and we're going to add one more to our inventory here today. I just know it. And it's really been rewarding. Claire, I know you've been, you maybe not have been a part of those in front of the camera, so to speak, but you've been a really big part of that behind the scenes, and we appreciate that. And it's really been rewarding to spotlight the sheer brilliance and leadership, innovation, and supply chain management across the continent of Africa. All right, so today we're going to be talking about a variety of topics with a business leader here today, someone who you're going to see is particularly passionate about driving real sustainability and real outcomes across Africa and really across industry. Claire, it should be a great show, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you. And it's wonderful to have CHEP on the call with us today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you're letting the cat out of the bag, Claire. You let the cat out of I'm just kidding. We break the rules all the time here. So let me, with that said, let me introduce our wonderful guest here today. So Marietjie Brown is the Sustainability and Government Affairs Lead for Africa, the Middle East, and Turkeiye for CHEP. Now, based in Durban, she is responsible for achieving the Brambles 2025 goals for the region. I believe that's the parent company. She's responsible for customer engagement, employee empowerment, and partnering with external organizations. That's what global supply chain is all about. Now, Marietjie holds a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Science honors, and she recently completed her Master's in Philosophy and Development Practice, which focuses on leadership and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, she started her career, get this, in corporate sustainability in a mixed sector of logistics. I bet a lot of our audience members can relate to that. Logistics, shipping, and banking before moving on to retail, where she was involved in value chain development, responsible and sustainable sourcing, and corporate social responsibility. Marietjie is passionate about private sector's ability and responsibility, I'll add, to further human rights and planetary conservation goals. Let's welcome in Marietjie Brown with CHEP. Marietjie, how are you doing today?
Hey, Scott, lovely to be here with you and Claire. Thanks so much for that introduction. It reminds me of a few things I need to go add to my to-do list, but we'll wait until after the podcast to get back to that.
Claire, that happens to all of us, right? I bet all of us, we assemble our summary of what we've done, and we leave stuff out all the time because we're all moving at such a fast pace. Can you relate to that, Claire?
Absolutely. And you're learning so many more skills, and you're interacting and doing different projects, and you kind of forget to put that on your profile. But that just talks to a really fun and dynamic environment that we're all working in at the moment.
So true, Claire. Now, Claire, before we dive in, there's two things we want to do. We're going to discover both of y'all's musical skills here in just a second. But before even that, Claire, I think you wanted to give a big shout out and high five to Marietjie and the CHEP team, huh?
Thanks, Scott. CHEP has been part of the SAPICS world for 25 years. We are extraordinarily grateful for for them and their partnership in a membership capacity, sponsoring our conference on occasion, speaking at our events. And an organization such as SAPICS, which is a non-profit organization, really relies on organizations such as CHEP to keep us going and to keep us up to date. And we're very grateful to the whole CHEP team who are part of the SAPICS family. So thank you.
Outstanding, Claire. Marietjie, that's got to make you feel good, huh?
Absolutely. Reflecting back on a quarter of a century of partnership with SAPICS, it's fantastic to just see how far we've come, and certainly looking forward, Claire, to 25 more years. And then we can touch base on how far we've come with our musical endeavors.
Perfect. Marietjie, you gave me a great segue. I love when I get a nice, perfect segue. So, musical endeavors. So, Marietjie, tell us, you've had a recent breakthrough when it comes to your piano playing skills. Tell us more.
Well, Scott, this is one that I'm quite proud of. When I was younger, I always wanted to play the piano, but sometimes you say, oh, not yet, not yet, not yet. And I hit my mid-30s and went, oh, gosh, if not now, when? So having never read a single piece of music in my life, got myself a music teacher, started playing, and set myself a goal of playing Fur Elise because it's a song that my mom used to play. So quite recently managed to play Fur Elise, and I must say my fingers itch just talking about it, ready to get back in front of the piano. So thanks so much for highlighting that.
Oh, I bet. Claire, I bet not only when you hear or experience something from your childhood, that's one thing, but when you can recreate it whenever you want to by playing the tune, I bet that's even more special, Claire, huh?
Absolutely. And honoring your mum as you were doing it. And such an amazing tune. So well done.
Very well done. Now, speaking of musical prowess, Marietjie, we learned in the pre-show that Claire also has discovered some new musical talents. Claire, tell us about you and the clarinet.
So I have always wanted to play a musical instrument. I used to play the guitar as a teenager, but not very successfully. And I've always loved the wind instrument of the clarinet. So just post-COVID, I started doing lessons, and I absolutely love it, but I will not be invited to the Johannesburg orchestra anytime soon. It's more just a hobby, and I love my instrument, and it's really to just irritate my entire family as I practice songs.
So shout out to your son, Connor, who does a lot of great things in the industry. So Connor, hopefully you have found a nice set of earmuffs. Claire, is that you find them wearing ear protection from time to time?
Absolutely. And Mum, I've got a meeting in a few minutes. Could you stop practicing?
I love that. Well, Connor, hope you're doing well out there across the globe. Claire and Marietjie, great to have y'all both. Thanks for sharing a little bit about what y'all do outside of global supply chain leadership. So, Marietjie, let's level set a bit. I want to learn a little bit more about your professional journey. It's been a remarkable one from what I've uncovered. I haven't been spying on you or anything, but as you know, we get ready for each of these conversations. And what I have found, Marietjie, is that early on in your career, you served as an environmental scientist. That just sounds highfalutin. So how did that impact your passion for sustainability?
Thanks, Scott. So environmental science really is the core of the passion for me. Like you mentioned, I have 2 science degrees. Both of those are specializing in environmental science. And so, as an 18-year-old, you have no idea what you want to do with your life, but what you have a passion for. And for me, that passion has always been about the environment. So I started studying that. And as soon as I finished university, joined an engineering firm. And I did a year's worth of work working as an environmental scientist. So truly getting to grassroots level and understanding the environmental challenges that we have here in South Africa. From there, I was recruited into sustainability and my world opened up. It's truly fantastic to be able to take that strong quantitative foundation and step into something that works a little bit more broadly across different areas. And I think sustainability truly is a powerful tool that we can use to work on the environment and to leave things in a better position. So as I was working in sustainability, I realized I wanted to further this skill more formally. And that's when I decided that a Master of Philosophy in Sustainable Development was exactly the right fit for me. And I have to say, not an easy journey, definitely harder than having a baby, having a master's degree. So I know which one I would choose in future, but I'm glad to have that behind my name.
Oh, Marietjie, I appreciate so many elements of what you just shared there. And I'm going to go all the way back, Claire, to what she said on the front end about when we're 17, 18 years old, we really don't know what we want to do. I graduated high school in 17, and I thought I wanted to join the Air Force. And then fast forward a couple months as I'm sitting in hot San Antonio, homesick as I've ever been, missing my mom, I discovered how much I didn't want to join the Air Force, but it was too late. Claire, what you hear, and beyond that, how Marietjie really not only discovered her passion, but really in that part of her career established a great foundation for all that she's doing now. What'd you hear there, Claire?
I'm hearing that and I'm linking it and perhaps going a little bit fast forward, Scott. So bear with me, but just how you have found your way in an organization where supply chain management is key, and how you've been able to bring your passion and your brilliance and your qualifications into that space. I went fast forwarding a bit, but I love that you found your passion and congratulate you on growing it and not just boxing it and staying in the same kind of space, but actually just improving people's lives and people's supply chains through your passion of sustainability.
Claire, well said. And we are going to touch more and level set on CHEP and what she does there. So I appreciate that fast forward button that we all hit sometimes, Claire. All right. Before we get there though, I want to come back to sustainability. And, Marietjie has been doing a lot of great work in this space, powered by her passion, as you call out, Claire, for 10 years now. So, or over 10 years, I think. So give me just a couple of your favorite projects or initiatives, just at a high level, Marietjie, and then we're going to talk about CHEP.
Fantastic. Thanks, Scott. It's incredible, to get a question like that and to sit and reflect on what just a bit more than a decade in your life has led to. And I must say, I'm very privileged that I've been working on transformational programs for a long time now. But one that truly stands out for me is actually one that we're running at CHEP. And that is the Landscape Approach to Regeneration project that we're running around the Umzimkhulu water catchment. So that is the catchment that surrounds the timber farms that CHEP SSA owns. We identified this as a key strategic area for improvement, realizing that these are the communities in which we operate, and this is the natural resources that surround us. And there's so much that we can put back into this space. And so we partnered with WWF South Africa and with Wildlife Act, and we're working on a vast majority of things within this catchment that we've identified, from water access to regenerative rangeland management, biodiversity stewardship, catchment coordination, to just touch on a few. And then we're also specifically promoting the conservation of vultures within the area. They are such a keystone species and so underrated that we just found the benefits of protecting this species for both people and for nature is phenomenal. And then just a short anecdote to add on to that. Recently, Wildlife Act came to us and they said, you know what? We found an endemic frog that lives in and around your timber farms. And we said, well, absolutely, sign us up. Say no more. What a fantastic opportunity to preserve, conserve, and protect a species that lives just in this area. So it just shows you how special this space really is for us.
Oh,
wow.
I tell you, Claire, all she had to do is mention birds and she had me, but she shared so much more there. And vultures are really, Marietjie, underrated. They play such a critical role, as you mentioned, across the global ecosystem. But the other thing she touched on there, and I want to call out, Claire, is regenerative. And I was just talking the other day about regenerative agriculture and something that PepsiCo is doing. It just is one example with some suppliers down in Argentina, I believe. And I may not get this exactly right, but I'll get it close. And how it really focuses on the health of the soil. That's a really big part of regenerative agriculture. And in this case, by leveraging regenerative agricultural practices, they were able to switch some of their oils they use in their products to sunflower oils, which are much healthier, especially heart healthier. And I find that fascinating. So not only is it good for the consumers, but it's good for the farmers because they can add more margins to their crops. And it's better for our environment. So really, I look forward to learning a lot more about regenerative agriculture. It sounds like, Marietjie, that's a part of this initiative that you described. Claire, from water access to regenerative agriculture to vultures, which are highly underrated, as Marietjie said, to the endemic frog that's found a part in this initiative. What'd you hear there?
I was keen on the frogs because I love frogs, and we have a couple in our garden, and we're friends with them. But I wanted to just maybe ask you to highlight the work that's happening and how that's benefiting the community of people around this particular project. As we know, in South Africa, we have a very high unemployment rate, and obviously these kinds of projects not only highlight the community, but also offer opportunities for the people in the environment.
Yeah, absolutely, Claire. So that's such a valuable conversation for us to have. So this project was built with people and nature in mind. So if we just look firstly at water access, the first thing we identified and the spark that started this project was that a community neighboring our farms has not had running water since the inception of that community. They've never had running water. And we have the ability to help them with that. And so as part of this project, we gave that entire community access to clean, fresh, reliable water for the first time in that community's history. And that was done as of September last year. So it's something that we are truly very proud of and that we will see more of as we move this project along. So these are the kind of elements where we bring people and nature together very directly in a quantified manner. But then something that's harder to quantify, but that we understand from a biodiversity perspective, is the purpose of the vulture within the ecosystem. So we've seen in India historically, where the vulture populations have collapsed, how rabies and other diseases have caused an excessive uptick in deaths within a community. And we were very worried about our local communities around our timber farms as we saw the vulture populations taking strain. And in order to prevent any such collapses from happening, we partnered within that space. And there's a vulture hide next to one of our farms where the vultures effectively have a little restaurant, and they can come for their daily feedings to ensure that we keep them safe, and they in turn keep our communities safe.
So as much as I love birds, and as much as I think vultures are underrated, I don't plan on observing their dinners there at that vulture. You say a hide, Marietjie? A hide?
It's a vulture hide, very popular with bird enthusiasts. It's always booked up, and they sit there with their long-range cameras and observing the restaurant, Scott. So interesting stuff.
Wow.
Fascinating and critical. But I don't want to look past the first part of your response about bringing running water, fresh, healthy, quality running water to a village that's never had it. Claire, that is life-changing. Huh?
Absolutely. I mean, how people's lives will be affected in the positive way it's almost unmeasurable, I think.
Yeah, well said. Okay, so Marietjie, let's level set next as we dive more into what you've been doing and what your organization's been doing. Tell us a little more, just mainly for context, about what CHEP does and about your role.
Fantastic. Thank you. So CHEP is a global leader in supply chain solutions. We operate in more than 60 countries, and our share, repair, and reuse model that covers millions of pallets, crates, and containers within our assets management aims to reduce the cost and reduce the negative environmental impact that our customers suffer. So really, this is a way for us to ensure efficiency and nature positivity across the global supply chain. So really a business that's built on the foundation of sustainability, on the foundation of the circular economy. And this is why we call ourselves circular economy pioneers. We always say we've been doing circular economy since before there was a word for it. So we just knew from the get-go that pooling and this model of closed systems was the right way to go. So that's the story of CHEP. And where I fit into it is I take care of sustainability and government affairs for our region of Africa, the Middle East, and Turkeiye. So I'm based out of Durban, South Africa, truly able to keep my finger on the pulse within this region. And it's a huge privilege to be able to do that and bring these positive influences into our region and specifically into Africa as well.
Oh, okay. Claire, there's a lot there to love. And one of my favorite things, circularity is such a big, I like how Marietjie said before there was a name for it, right? And I think so much of industry is still finding out that name and what it means. It's a really big topic. But one element of that she touched on was that re-economy, which is trillions and trillions of dollars these days. Reuse, repair, remanufacturing. There's so much more good value we can get rather than just sending stuff off to our landfills. And one of the really big pieces of good news that I've really enjoyed here in recent years is how global consumers are discovering and rediscovering the immense value of reusing and repairing stuff, and that this re-economy. Your thoughts, so Claire?
No, I agree. And also I think that the consumer is also becoming a little bit more proactive in terms of which types of companies they're using, if they are adopting circular economy and other sustainable methods as well. And I think that people are becoming more discerning in their buying.
Claire, that's a good point. And there's tons of surveys and research around that exact thought of yours. And I'm hoping, just from my perspective, that consumers around the world continue to vote more with their wallet. I think it will make us better as an industry. And kind of going back up to the top of how we introduced Marietjie and her passion for doing the right thing in the industry and driving real powerful change for good. Marietjie, before we talk more about circularity, your quick comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think bringing the consumer along on the journey is so key to ensuring that we touch every single part of the supply chain, not just focusing on our business-to-business relationships, but through our customers impacting on the consumer as well. The consumer wants choice. And it's so key that we give that to them and respect them enough to offer those choices to them. So we're really excited to see how circularity develops across the world in the coming years.
Yes, me too. It makes two of us, maybe three of us, and maybe probably thousands of us out there for folks that are tuned in too. I'm going to double down on this circularity because clearly it's a key element in the CHEP business model. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what else it impacts in terms of how you do business?
Absolutely. So if you just think about our products, the majority of our products are wooden pallets. So looking at the humble wooden pallet, the first thing that we can say is all of our wood is certified as sustainable that we use globally. So either FSC or PEFC has signed off on that wood before we use it in a pallet. And that's the starting point of sustainability and circularity along the journey. And then next, that product is of high quality. So it can be shared, reused, and repaired multiple times within the global supply chain before it has to retire. Looking at the network strengths of CHEP, like I mentioned, we're present in over 60 countries. That means that the distances that products need to travel is much shorter. Therefore, we have a positive impact on carbon emissions. And then when that product does reach end of life, we ensure that zero product waste goes to landfill. That's actually one of our key 2025 sustainability targets that we'll be wrapping up now in June 2025 and reporting back to the market on. So please do look out for that when we do our annual report so that you can hold us accountable and ensure that we deliver on all of these promises, which I can tell you we are doing. And I'm very proud to say that this is the circular base of the entire CHEP model and in what we present to our customers and then by extension to the consumer as well.
So Marietjie, I am going to ask you about some of those initiatives, Todd, that we shared there. But before I do, can you share anything? I'll tell you, my three kids can destroy anything. And it sounds like y'all have found not only a strong, robust wood, but it's sustainable. What can you share? What kind of wood that go in the primary wood that goes in those pallets?
Well, Scott, like with most things in life, there's no silver bullet and there's no one size fits all. So we ensure that the pallet is suitable for the market in which we send it off into. So the wood that we use here in South Africa, which is a type of pine, could be different to the wood that you're using in Atlanta. And this is to ensure that we're using sustainable wood. We're not flying pine trees all over the world just because we've decided pine is the way to go, but we're adopting the local market best practice and ensuring that it's fit to the specifics of that industry and that region. And then furthermore, we do have our innovation center, which is just around the corner from you, Scott, a short flight away in Orlando, where we taste these products and ensure that before anything goes out to market, we know that it can handle what we expect of it in the supply chain. And so product innovation is a big part of what CHEP does globally. And that is all, it comes to a head there in Orlando, where we ensure that we can put the CHEP promise behind each product.
I love that, the CHEP promise. And I also love, Claire, that rationale there, using local resources so we can cut down on carbon emissions and needless miles and miles, which industry we all got to get better at. And I am gonna swap wood recipes with Marietjie after today's show, so I can put stronger, more durable stuff here in the Luton household. Because pallets, Claire, I find pallets. We're talking about vultures are underappreciated. Pallets are underappreciated. I mean, that's what one of the critical tools across global supply chain. But what'd you hear there from Marietjie, Claire?
Well, I want to wish you all the best for approaching June 2025, and when you have, as you wrap everything up, and obviously very happy from a SAPICS point of view to share that annual report on our platforms and to highlight the great work that you've done. And just to concur in terms of buying local, really, and supporting your local businesses, small businesses, perhaps the trucks who are bringing the pine trees to you at your factories. I think that's key, especially around our continent. Yeah, that's what I'd like to highlight.
I'm with you. And, I think more and more when companies like CHEP very consciously go out and discover what is in the local ecosystem, we can find all sorts of new collaborations, innovation, as Marietjie really focused on, and powerful relationships that can really drive value across our industry and across those ecosystems where everybody wins. Going back to environmental sustainability and real progress there, Marietjie, you touched on a couple of things, and I'm going to have to check out your innovation center in Orlando. I'll be there at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium in May, so I'll have to go take a little road trip. But what other initiatives do you want to mention? Because clearly it's so important to CHEP, and driving real outcomes and progress is really important to you and CHEP. What else would you like to mention there?
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'm quite a quantitative person. So, now we're at the phase in our sustainability strategy where we can truly see the numbers come together, which is truly exciting. The proof is in the pudding, right? So we have 3 key areas that we focus on, that we work on. The first is to be planet positive. The second is to be business positive. And the third is to be communities positive. And within each of those sections, we have key targets. So I just want to highlight 3 of those targets. The first is under planet positive. We have a forest positive target. And part of that target is to enable the sustainable growth of 2 trees for every 1 tree that CHEP uses. So it's a large target. It's a daunting target. And I'm very proud to say that we are absolutely on track to achieve that target. So some really exciting work happening within that space. And also quite a lot of that work sits within Sub-Saharan Africa. So again, benefiting the continent, using the global expertise and the global brand of CHEP and bringing it local. Secondly, we are committed to a 1.5 degree climate future. And we do that through carbon neutrality and our decarbonization program. So always really excited to talk about the climate work that happens within our team and within our decarbonization team that sits within our supply chain. And then lastly, not an environmental target, but I do want to highlight one of our communities targets, one of our social targets, and that is to get food to 10 million people by 2025. And we've exceeded that target. We have fed millions of people. And we fed millions of meals. And that truly is a phenomenal effort to look back on, especially, Claire, for you and I who sit in South Africa, and we know it works differently here. There are people in South Africa that will eat every single one of their meals for their entire life out of a food bank. And for us to empower those food banks, for us to ensure that rescued food gets diverted to those food banks, we are actively feeding the neediest people on the planet. And that really is something that CHEP can be very proud of, and something that we will continue to do long past our 2025 targets. This is not about a target for us. This is about what the company is about. This is about what is in our DNA, and ensuring that food is not lost in the supply chain, that supply chains are as efficient as they can possibly be, is a key part of that for CHEP.
Claire, so much to touch on there, but I'm going to pull out two things, and I'll start with my favorite thing, the favorite part of her response, feeding people in need, right? Giving people in need what they need, and how they've already surpassed. Their goal was feeding 10 million people, I believe, right? Meals of 10 million people, and they've already blown past that ahead of the objective there. I love that, and I love the passion which you shared, because that goes back to life-changing, the ability for supply chain, the global supply chain community, the business community to really deliver a life-changing quality of life for the beautiful human element across the globe. But so Claire, I'll stop there. What'd you hear? What was your favorite part in Marietjie's response?
I was quite taken by the words you used, Marietjie, the DNA of the company. And I think from the little that I know of your organization, I think that the people in your organization all sort of share that same passion and commitment to doing absolutely the right thing for the planet and the communities. And it's just inspiring to watch what the amazing work that you are doing on the continent.
Thank you, Claire. There absolutely is a unified purpose within my colleagues at CHEP, and that is why we can get this work done. Our CSO always says, when someone asks, how big is your sustainability team? He says, oh, well, we have thousands of people, because every single person in CHEP is effectively part of our sustainability team. And that is how we get this work done. And it's truly phenomenal to see our colleagues pull together and ensure that trees are grown and people are fed and the supply chain works. So it's spectacular.
Marietjie, and that's what leading successful companies do. It's not one person's job when it comes to driving sustainability outcomes. It's got to be cultural. It's got to be in the DNA. It's got to be on all of our bones. And I don't want to sleep on this little nugget, which you started on the Planet Positive note. The 2 for 1, planting 2 trees for every one you use. I love that. I absolutely love that element too. Okay. Claire, we're going to keep talking, and I'm going to have to go out and get me a blue palette. I'm becoming a big fan
you are.
What Marietjie and CHEP are doing. All right, so let's kind of broaden out the scope a little bit more. And let's talk about the supply chain industry and the community really across the continent of Africa. So many nations and communities and customs and traditions and challenges. So a 2-part question for you, Marietjie. What 2 to 3 challenges when it comes to the supply chain industry across Africa do you want to identify and share with us? And better yet, what solutions have you found that really help address these challenges?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. It's such a great question. And there's so much within Africa that we can unpack. So firstly, we all know that Africa is an incredible and unique continent. And it's such a privilege to work on this continent. But with that being said, it also comes with unique challenges. So 2 of the key challenges that we've identified within Africa is infrastructure challenges, and that can really hamper the growth of the supply chain. So that's a key one that we need to work on. And secondly, turbulent economies. So for example, now just look at the shock waves that the tariffs being on and off has caused throughout the global economy. And often we're overlooked, so you'll see in big headlines, the big economies challenging each other. But Africa is on the accepting side of those shockwaves. And that definitely is something that we need to take into account as well. The economy can be a roller coaster. And that's the reality for us of working in Africa. And we accept those challenges and we push forward because we are committed to working in Africa. So the way we do that is quite simply, you have to partner with local expertise on the ground. So we need to ensure that we're working with local organizations in country, and we back that up with the global expertise of CHEP. So we really bring that gravitas of our learnings from our global organization into these local challenges and ensure that we stand with Africa as we work through these challenges.
I really appreciate the topics you shown your light on when it comes to infrastructure challenges and turbulent economies. And we can all relate to that in many ways, I think. But Claire, I think on the flip side as well, and we've talked a lot about some of these elements in this series, the mobility approaches that we've seen across the African continent and how that's been applied to fintech. That's been remarkable. And I think the rest of the globe can really learn from what we find across Africa. And as it relates to Marietjie pointing out the infrastructure challenges we have across the continent, how that has fueled drone innovation. It's amazing to see what that's done. And again, the rest of the world can learn from what we have found in so many of the great stories of organizations and supply chain people finding a way to make things happen. And that's kind of the bridge I want to, before I get your comment here, Claire, the challenges and some of the solutions that Marietjie pointed out, and as we solve those in the various nations that make up the continent of Africa, how we can apply those lessons learned everywhere else. I mean, I think that's a critical lifeblood of not just global supply chain, but global business. But Claire, what'd you hear there as Marietjie was talking about both challenges and solutions there in Africa?
Absolutely. So I was hearing that, collaboration is key. And we know the different parts of the supply chain where everybody has to work together. And also the great work that you're doing in uplifting organizations in different African countries, applying the CHEP model of excellence and uplifting those communities as well in the continent. But I think Marietjie will agree with me that, Africans have a can-do attitude, and we do get things done, and we don't mess around really. And I think, I'm speaking generally, but I do love our can-do attitude on our continent.
Absolutely, Claire. And let's also just know that there's few things in the world as resilient as someone from the African continent. So we know that there are challenges, but there are also solutions. So overcome those challenges with those solutions, and we're building an opportunistic, resilient future for an entire new market. And that really is a fantastic thing for us to look forward to. We can uplift some of the most desperate people in the world just by ensuring that we execute excellently that which we have committed to do. So really exciting times as we move into Africa.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So I want to zero in a bit more on South Africa. And again, looking forward, Claire, to seeing you again. And I think, Marietjie, we're going to see you and the CHEP team there more on SAPICS annual conference in a second. But when it comes to South Africa and the business community, Marietjie, what do you find that small enterprises need to not just grow, but to thrive?
So, Scott, small enterprises are so key to the economy. We really have to respect them and assist them as far as we can. And that, for me, is the starting point of looking at this question that you've posed. Understanding that without SMMEs, the economy is completely stagnant. So what we found is the key thing to assist these small enterprises is to connect them to multinationals, connect them to those big brands with the big exposure and the global expertise. And that exposure is the key to assisting them to grow. And their growth means African growth, means economic growth. And that ultimately is what we want to see on the continent.
Claire, I love the power of connectivity, right? And that means so many different things. But I love what Marietjie said there about connecting these critical small enterprises, which is so critical, not just to the economy, but to power that can-do attitude and disposition that both of y'all were speaking about, and connecting them with multinational corporations, which of course bring a lot more resources to the table. One more point before I get Claire, for you weigh in. We just had a great conversation with our friends at Village Reach. And they were talking about, one of the many great things they were talking about is how critical that small distribution companies are to healthcare supply chain, right? And how they're really trying to make these independent entrepreneurs that have distribution companies, investing in them in a variety of ways and helping them to thrive so we can make greater gains when it comes to healthcare and pharmaceuticals and access to all of that. But Claire, the power of connectivity is one of the major points that Marietjie shared there. Your thoughts?
So one of the things that SAPICS wants to be known for is connecting people, is to do some matchmaking. And to that end, we have a small business membership category, and we support small businesses with two things. One, resources for their supply chain work in all the different disciplines. And secondly, with promoting their businesses through the SAPICS channels and working with big companies so that they can get contracts. And we are very proud of the way we do that in different ways. And obviously, it's key. We've mentioned the unemployment in Africa many, many times, and this is a way of addressing that situation.
Terrific, Claire. That's the first time I've enjoyed countless conversations with SAPICS board members and supporters and advocates, you name it. And it's the first I've learned about this small enterprise supportive program. So I'm going to learn a lot more about that. We're going to get the word out. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Okay. Are you all ready? Now, so in the pre-show, folks, Marietjie said her crystal ball is 100 miles an hour. It's ready to go. So we're going to put that to the test here in just a second. So let's talk about the future. It is bright, not just across Africa, but the way I see it, across global supply chain and the innovation we find now and where we're going. It's amazing, really. So let's start first, though, with the SAPICS conference in June. So I can't wait. I'll be there. I cannot wait to be there. It's the first time I've been back since 2023. Marietjie, are you and the CHEP team going to be there?
Absolutely, Scott. We would not miss it. We're super excited to be at the SAPICS conference. Like we said, it's a 25-year partnership in the making, and we find a lot of value, Claire. So thank you for that. For us, we're really seeing the matchmaking. We're really seeing the connectivity that you bring through SAPICS. So we see it as a way that we can engage with industry professionals and stay connected. So thank you so much. That is absolutely working for us.
So in terms of how you do partner with SAPICS, clearly the connective aspect is an important one, that matchmaking that you and Claire both have mentioned. Anything else that you want to mention in terms of how you partner with the organization, Marietjie?
Absolutely. So like I said, we will be attending the SAPICS conference. We're really excited about the connectedness that it brings. But Claire, we're also excited to be hosting you soon at a smaller event. So looking forward to connecting more at grassroots level there with SAPICS, and then looking forward to the next 25 years together.
Outstanding. Claire, we're going to blink in the next 25 years.
I'm not sure I'm going to still be around, but anyway, that's fine. I'm laying the foundation for the next generation of SAPICS people. But yes, we have a site visit at the Samran Center with CHEP next month, and we're very excited about our 47th conference and all of the delegates who will be there. It's a great program. And we work very closely with our friends at Upavon to bring a world-class event. And we're delighted to be having Scott there in a storytelling capacity, and it's going to just bring a different dimension. We've got a type of Shark Tank initiative happening as well, which will be very interesting and a bit different, and really trying to just make sure that everybody is learning and networking and benchmarking and selling to each other and connecting, and that is our mission as the supply chain industry body in South Africa.
I appreciate that, Claire, and y'all fulfill that mission. I've seen it up close and personal, and it is a world-class event. And it's going to be, Claire, the dates for the SAPICS conference again. Do you have those handy?
Yes, thank you, Scott. It's the 8th to the 11th of June. And it's at the Century City Conference Center in Cape Town. The 8th is a Sunday, and we are running workshops on that day. They are filling up rapidly. And then on the 11th, we have a different set of site visits for people to attend, and the full-day conferencing on the 9th and the 10th. So there's a lot on offer, and there's a lot for all different people in the supply chain space to be exposed to.
Claire, I'm so glad you gave me a wonderful segue on that last comment. There's truly something for everybody. I was just talking with a brilliant Hall of Fame chief supply chain officer in the healthcare industry here in the States, and she was asking me about the SAPICS Conference and kind of the the programming and the types of organizations there, and it's extremely diverse. You're going to find lots of sectors of global business represented, lots of keynotes on a wide variety of common and unique supply chain topics. And Claire, I think there was close to 50 countries represented at the SAPICS event last year. So let's see if we can surpass 50 this year.
Absolutely.
So folks, you can learn more at sapics.org. I think I've got that right, Claire. And Marietjie,
yes.
I want to go back to something you shared there, because I really want to use what you shared as a challenge for some of our listeners and viewers out there. It's really important that great companies like CHEP hosts events, bring people into their operations, whether it's plant tours or workshops or just networking events. That's a critical part of this power of connectivity that Marietjie and Claire have both been speaking to. And, every company doesn't do it. And I've learned that through my time in industry. And it's so important that we have those meaningful deeds, not words driven leaders like Marietjie and CHEP to make those things happen. Okay. Speaking of CHEP, crystal ball time. Over the next decade or so, Marietjie, what's next for CHEP?
So, Scott, we've spoken a lot about uncertainty in the supply chain and turbulent economies, etc. So we have a choice. We can be intimidated by that, or we can be excited by it. And CHEP chooses to be excited. So we're excited about our future and our role in transforming supply chains globally. And we believe in innovation and growth, and specifically bringing that into the supply chain over the next decade. We will continue to put our customers first. We will continue to focus on operational excellence, and we will continue to lead globally on sustainability. And we believe with those ingredients, we can go strongly into the next decade and walk confidently as we approach the next phase of the global supply chain.
I love that. Claire, we do have a choice. We do have a choice as organizations, as practitioners, as leaders, as human beings. And, a lot of times we can ignore a lot of the noise out there and focus on doing good and changing industry and helping others, which it's probably one of my favorite parts of today's conversation, how that's a big part of the DNA and the culture, and really Marietjie's approach to her role in the organization. But Claire, speak to the choice we all have each and every day, each and every hour, huh?
Absolutely. Be intimidated or be excited. It's a mindset. And I think it talks to us as individuals, exactly as you said, Scott, and that then rolls into the organization. And at SAPICS, we've had our ups and downs, and we decided to be excited. And here we are in a much stronger position than we have been. And we are very lucky to partner with people like you, Scott, to be honest, and to have wonderful members such as CHEP and many others who contribute to our world and to us as individuals.
Well, hey, it takes, I hate to use a cliche here, but it's a cliche for a reason. It takes a village. It takes a global community to tackle the challenges, not just the ones we find across Africa. Every part of the globe has plenty of challenges, common challenges and unique challenges. And it takes people that lean into that challenge to find and apply and deploy solutions to make life better for the global population. So Marietjie, really have enjoyed our conversation here today. Marietjie Brown with CHEP. But Claire, before we go, we covered a ton of ground with Marietjie. And I'm looking forward to seeing her and the CHEP team at the SAPICS Conference in June. Hope to see a lot of our global SCN fam there as well. But Claire, what was one of your favorite things that we heard here from Marietjie today?
I'm a real people person. So for me, the work that CHEP does in its communities, from in the supply chain, supporting people, feeding people. For me, I actually had goosepimples when you were telling me the story, and I just applaud you on that. So that for me was a favorite thing. It's not a supply chain thing, I'm sorry, but it's a people thing.
I love that. Hey, more birds, goosepimples, more birds.
And frogs.
And frogs. Oh, this has been all right. So Marietjie Brown, with CHEP. Really glad you stopped by here today. I've got a whole new appreciation for what you and your organization do. A lot of our listeners and viewers will know CHEP, but I think over the last hour, hopefully we have maybe redefined a part of that and probably created some new admirers too. So Marietjie, really appreciate what you and your organization do. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Scott, for having us. Always a pleasure.
Oh, by the way, how can folks connect with you and CHEP and learn more?
Great. So, of course, we're on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn under my personal name, and CHEP is on LinkedIn as well as our parent company, Brambles. And then you can always head on over to chep.com and find us from there.
Outstanding. Great to have you here today. And Claire Fincham with SAPICS. How can folks connect with you, learn a lot more about not just the SAPICS Conference, but the small business programming you had mentioned, and really becoming a member?
Fabulous. So sapics.org.za. You can connect with me, Claire Fincham on LinkedIn and SAPICS on LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn profile is growing. It's very exciting. And yes, we have a lot going on. We've got education programs, we have events, we've got different types of membership categories, and really trying to make sure that everybody is well represented and well supported in the supply chain space.
Well, I admire what y'all do as well, Claire. Great to see you here today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for connecting us with Marietjie and the CHEP organization. Looking forward to seeing all in person in June. And if I'm grateful for anything, I got a long list. I am so grateful that in-person events are back and they're flourishing, and people are connecting in person, finding new ways to collaborate and solve challenges across not just global supply chain, but global business. Folks, hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. I'll tell you, Marietjie and Claire really have enjoyed their perspective. But here, you've got homework. You got to take one thing you learned here today, and share it with your team. Put it into practice. It's all about deeds, not words, right? And on behalf of the whole team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you: do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. And we'll see you next time right back here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Join the Supply Chain Now community for more supply chain perspectives, news, and innovation. Check out supplychainnow.com, subscribe to Supply Chain Now on YouTube, and follow and listen to Supply Chain Now wherever you get your podcasts.